Professor Robert Thornton is a specialist in medical anthropology. He also happens to be a specialist in African culture. He also happens to be a member of the Traditional Healers Association. I'm going to be controversial here, Professor. Can a white person be a Sangoma?
Yes, and there are, and increasingly it's a cultural issue. People think of ancestors as being biological, but essentially ancestors are a kind of disembodied mind, in the sense that it's your ancestry, so everybody has ancestors, and it's the African traditional way of understanding how our past controls us.
In Mpumalanga, Mambo 360 met Goggo Phakathi, a Sangoma who prefers to be known as a traditional healer due to the often incorrect negative associations of witchcraft and black magic. Goggo Phakathi is white, in a role traditionally seen as the domain of black people. But as far as she's concerned, this was her calling, a spiritual path which she embarked upon, in which, according to her, one's color is irrelevant. Both Goggo Phakathi and her daughter have faced criticism and been victimized for their beliefs and practices.
The realm of traditional healing or medicine is a fairly large umbrella term. Witchcraft falls underneath that, but it seems like those are the things that often get the attention. What's your view on that?
Well, witchcraft is the bad influences that we have on each other. We can understand it in that way, which makes it a kind of generally accessible, understandable kind of concept. People can do bad things to other people. I think anybody can understand that. The specific forms this takes, the specific rituals, the specific illnesses are cultural. And, that's something that we see in Southern Africa's special Southern African versions of witchcraft. Now, I've done a survey across our first-year students, and I found no correlation between race group, black, white, colored, Indian, and acceptance or skepticism about witchcraft. In other words, there was no prevalence of black people believing in it more than white people, or Indian, or colored. It was across the categories. So, I found that, this is an important change that few people recognize in South Africa today.
We went to the township called Leidenberg in Mpumalanga, where Goggo Phakathi appears to be accepted and has considerable standing with the community. Goggo Makhosi trained under Goggo Phakathi and helped to explain some of the challenges of being a white traditional healer.
The people around here, all the people that live in the township, that live here in this township, how do they take Goggo Phakathi?
No problem. They like him. No problem.
She's saying that I'm a Sangoma like them. If I throw the bones, I throw it just like them. People accept me just like them.
You have to have a calling. You have to have a sense of that past understood in a particularly African way. And increasingly, I find more and more white people who speak African languages and are entirely African, except for the color of their skin.
Sometimes when I go to the township, they see this white, then they will say, look at this white person, why is she in African things? Why is she wearing this? It's a pondo. It's with medicine. When you graduate, your teacher make it for you. There are protection things in it wherever you go. We are not killers, we are healers. So when we put this on, people can see that you've graduated. When I go somewhere, they will say, this whitey, she's funny, she just wants to act like us. But once you go into ancestors, the cameras, the phones go like this. You don't know it, afterwards they'll come and show you. That is great.
She helps you get in touch with your inner soul so that you heal the outside. Because healing comes from within, and she also calls upon whatever you believe in, be it archangels, ancestors, to help you heal. Goggo Phakathi is not only a traditional healer, but is a tireless community worker trying to improve the lives of those around her. She wants to set up traditional healing clinics and training centers, as she believes they're just as important as medical facilities.
We must stop, like Mandela was saying, we are a united union. We must stop to criticize others. When I cut my skin here, although it's white, I cut somebody else's skin from different culture. We've got the same blood.
I had a couple of calls from Scotland Yard and from international media asking me, about this aspect or that aspect. So there was global interest, which means the idea itself is global. And Wicca, which is a version of European witchcraft or witch practice, has been imported into South Africa and has moved into South Africa, just as witchcraft practices have come out of Africa into the rest of the world, as well as Indian ideas, or Chinese ideas, Native American ideas. All of these are global ideas.
It is who you are, it's in your heart. And you can't say, I can't heal this culture and that culture. We are not, ancestors doesn't see culture. If you are meant to be a healer and be proud of who you are. It's not easy for us, white people, to be a traditional healer because they put a stamp to your name. And when you go somewhere, they'll say, this is a Sangoma. I don't like that name. I rather prefer traditional practitioner or traditional healer. Because once they say Sangoma, they say, you are the bad one, you want to kill us. We are healing.
Basically, or in a nutshell, what you're telling me is, perhaps our minds have to be a bit more open and we have to be a bit broad-based in our thinking about, what is traditional medicine in comparison to what is accepted on a more global front.
Well, I say in a couple of papers that it's not traditional and it's not medicine. It's global, it's a philosophy, it's a therapeutic system, which goes beyond medicine. Although things like muti get the attention, a lot of what a Sangoma or a herbalist actually does is advise people on their sexual problems, on their marital problems, on their conflict with the boss. All of that is a very large practice, part of any practice, just as it is with a psychologist or a medical doctor.
Are there people within this community that don't like Goggo Phakathi because of her skin color and what she does?
Simjabulele kakhulu kabi uthe noma afika labaningi bafisa ukumbona.
She said people are very happy, excited to see her coming to our community, and then she said there's no one who hates the white people, especially in our place.
So, people who say white people cannot be Sangomas, they are wrong? Yes or no?
They are wrong. They are wrong.
The idea of a white person being a Sangoma clearly is not that unusual, judging from what the ladies over here are saying. It is something that is a calling, it is something that a person yearns to do. Isn't it about time that maybe the world at large thinks perhaps it's time to see things differently? I'm Nyerai Majuru, this is Mambo 360.